Traveler died of lockjaw 2 years after Robert E. Lee died. I looked that up one day in February, the day I went out to see where Abraham Lincoln's son Willie had been buried. I had been looking for the grave for over a year, and when I finally found it in a biography of Mary Todd Lincoln, I ran out of the library still carrying the book. It set off an alarm, and one of the librarians came out on the steps and shouted after me, "Jeff, are you all right? Jeff!" It was snowing hard that day, a wet spring snow. It took me nearly an hour to drive out to the old cemetery in Georgetown. I don't know what I thought I'd find. Some clue maybe to where Annie was and what had happened to her. Some message that would tell me what had happened to all of them. Tom Tita and Ben and the rest of the soldiers who had died in the Civil War and were buried together under granite squares no larger than a scrap of paper. But there wasn't anything there, not even Willie Lincoln's body, and I went back to Brune's house and got out Freeman's 4-volume biography of Lee and tried to find out what had happened to Traveler. As with everything else that had happened, there were both too many clues and not enough. But eventually I found out what I needed to know, the way I had found out where Willie had been, the way I had found out what was causing Annie's dreams. After all, that was what I was good at, wasn't it? Looking up obscure facts. Traveler had lived 2 years. He had picked up a nail and gotten lockjaw. They had had to shoot him. I met Annie 2 years ago, the night of Brune's press reception. The reception was supposed to be an advance publication party for Brune's 12th novel, The Duty Bound, with bound galleys passed out to the press, but there weren't any galleys. There wasn't even a finished book. The press reception had been scheduled for the last week in March. But at the end of February, Brune was still fiddling with the copy-edited manuscript, making changes and then changing the changes. And a week before the reception, I was back in West Virginia, trying to find out exactly when Lee had bought Traveler.